Just why not? Look at the Chicago skyline and see how many miles it is from the shores of Detroit, not Detroit, from Michigan, and see look at the curvature formula for the Earth that we supposedly live on. This spherical, globular, pear-shaped, close. Okay, so Neil deGrasse he made it pear-shaped recently, so I guess we live on a pear now. Um,
You're all over the place,
uh,
Mike.
evidentially, but the the definition of curvature on a spherical, you know,
Yeah, what's
body.
what's a number that means a lot in flat Earth?
13, 14, 15, 16,
Uh,
17, 18,
Pimos,
19, 20, 21, 22,
Well, it's
23.
it, it's it
Pi-
it's 8 inches per
Pimos,
mile.
what's a number that's gonna be like for the
33.
reward? What's
Look,
gonna
all
be?
you have to do is hit her with the hey baby girl, what's your number?
Well, so if you don't care, it's fine. You can live your life and just not care about it. But I'm telling you, if you do care, you can look into it for yourself. It's 8 inches per mile squared. So every mile, 8 inches should be the curvature. And because it's a sphere, the mile is squared. So if it's 2 miles, it's four. It's an obvious idea of mathematics that if you're an honest researcher, you would look into. And the idea of mathematics makes sense because it's 8 inches per mile squared. So if you're looking at curvature on a whatever they call the Earth, these days, if you look at curvature math, you would look into the curvature idea.
Uh huh. I
But I
have
don't, I
a.
don't, I
Well,
don't, I don't
the
think anybody here really actually cares. I
I
don't think
have.
anybody here actually has really cared to look into it. I think that
I
like
looked into it.
more.
I looked
I
into
don't.
it, Mike. The math checks out.
Right. So
This
yeah, there's no curvature.
there is curvature.
Well, give me a proof that there's curvature.
Approved. Well, I mean, just you go look at it and measure it. I don't know. So
No. So okay. Look at the Chicago skyline from Detroit.
yeah, I have.
Right. It's like 50 miles.
Yeah.
You can see the Chicago skyline. How are you able to see that?
Well, the bottom is obstructed by the curve. Because
No, it's not.
something. It's because like light bends, right, or something like that.
Nope. If you're gonna say that light bends, I'd love to hear you prove that.
It's really easy to prove. You can see it bend all the fucking time, like in a glass of water.
Right, in water.
Yeah, but what? There's water in the fucking atmosphere, bro.
Yeah, but not enough to make it
Yeah,
bend.
yeah, but there is. Also, you can see
So,
laser like heat and cold air will bend the light in different directions, and you can verify that like with a laser and a heat source. You just don't know much about science, Mike, and you fell for some flat Earth propaganda videos. I mean, their arguments are. I'll give you the flat Earth arguments are pretty convincing to like a layman who doesn't research or read. But like, if you actually look into the things and understand what's going on, the
well, I'm not exactly like a flat earther, but I know that what they've been telling us is not true. So
yeah,
take that for what you will.
well, that's not true though.
So you believe that the pictures from space of the Earth are true?
Yes,
Oh, he called you out, dude. You gonna take that, dog?
yes, and I know you can cite the guy from NASA talking about photoshopping. Forget the guy's name. Mr. Blue
No, I mean
Marble.
like there's a lot of blue marble images that have been taken
Yeah.
from space, and they all have different proportions of continents, different proportions of different oceans and planetary um, continents and stuff like that. So what does that mean?
I mean, there's like explanations for that. So.
Flat Earthers versus
Do you like
scientists.
this one?
yeah, there's explanations, I guess. Yeah, but how come we haven't been back to the moon in 25 years?
Like, I can show you a plastic globe that someone took
Funding,
pictures of
funding.
with the camera, and the fucking continent sizes are different because they changed the distance of the camera from the distance.
Yeah, I've looked at that. I've looked at that. And your idea of what was it, like the idea that light bends and water bends, that's an idea too, and I'm open to that idea, but for some reason, the Earth is not the Earth is not Universal Studios, and I'm sure of that because I don't know, it's just not. It's just like that's just the cartoon. And so if you want to, go into like simulation or, like, but it's almost a physical reality that it's not physical. It's almost like not physical. But it's not okay. So P Mars, you got me because you had some good correspondence about like the idea that it's not flat. But I never really thought of it as flat. I just never intended the model to be what was told to me. So
yeah, I've done a lot of research into the flat Earth debate, so it definitely, knowledge is power, and I could see a reason why our rulers would lie to us about the shape of the Earth. But ultimately, it benefits the rulers to tell us the truth of the shape of the Earth, because if we didn't know the shape of the Earth, we wouldn't be able to navigate. And being able to navigate on the Earth makes us much more productive slaves for our masters. We can carry their crap
maybe,
around.
I mean, but you understand that like the 32 divisions of the Earth on the United States map is what they use like to navigate the Earth, right?
They don't use that to navigate.
Well, yeah, they use the projection map, but that's like a representation of the Earth that we live on. What do you think about that there might be other land masses that are different or outside of this world? You think that's nonsense?
That's nonsense. So do you know who George Orwell is? He wrote an article about flat Earth, and he said in there that the fact that people navigate based on math that says the Earth is a sphere and they arrive at the destination they aim at is like definitive proof that we live on a sphere Earth right there. But I think possibly we could be lied to about cosmology, like geocentrism versus heliocentrism would be a better argument. The shape of the Earth, though, that's pretty definitive fact as a sphere.
Yeah, I'm interested with UP Mars. I think you got a good handle on things. I'm just, I'm not like married to ideas, but I've seen things that don't make sense on the so-called globe model that we've been told. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, the flat Earth videos, they present information in a way that would convince someone that what you're saying.
No, do you understand like the specific videos, like the Chicago skyline? Like you shouldn't be able to see the Chicago skyline if it was on a globe,
Yeah, but that's
And
not,
are you gonna go into like refraction and stuff like that to explain it?
I mean, that's not I'm not an expert on that stuff, but yeah, there's explanations for that. There's nothing, anything. No one's ever taken a picture of something that doesn't make sense on a globe, basically. So when flat earthers say that, it's just flat out lie.
Well, so how do you explain that? It's like 30 or 40 miles away, and you can zoom in and and see the Chicago skyline on a body of water from Michigan. What is that? What's your explanation for that?
You can see like the tops of the buildings because the curve of the Earth is obscuring
You can see
the
the whole
bottom.
buildings.
No, you can't.
No, you can see the whole buildings. There's videos that you can see the whole buildings. All of the buildings, the whole top to bottom. The bottom of the buildings seem a little squished, but you can still see all the bottom of the buildings.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can. Have you not seen the video? I'll fucking pull up the video.
Yeah, I've seen it. I got a link. I got a link to the picture right here.
Yeah, you can see the bottom of the building. It looks a little distorted because it's far
can't-
away,
can
but you
only
can see the bottom of the building.
You can only see the very tops of the buildings, dude.
No, you're wrong.
Yes, I'm
I've
not
seen
wrong.
the videos.
Hello?
Hello.
They're neck and neck. Lib Dems and the Conservatives are... Conservatives got 45. But the exit poll says that the Conservatives are going to win, but I think it would be so fucking funny if Labour...
That flat
Of
Earth
course,
shit. That flat Earth shit works on most people, though. You just ran into someone who knows their.
No, I think that you have a good scientific background and you have
I
an
don't.
explanation
I
for
just know
things.
the. I just know the
He does.
arguments. I just know. I just studied the arguments. Is all. I don't fucking know shit about science. Like when I first got into flat Earth community on YouTube, I'm famous in flat Earth community, by the way. But like, when I first entered it,
look, there's a Jewish guy.
I thought the Earth was flat too, because like, I think science is lying to us.
Right. Okay. So give me your best evidence. Like, can you give me a link of something that could prove that the Chicago skyline is not true? Like the way that you can see it from Michigan, like what is it, 40 miles or 43 miles or whatever? How is that a not true proof of the Earth being a plane?
I mean, it's actually a proof of a sphere Earth because the bottom of the buildings are obstructed by the curve of the Earth.
But they weren't. I've seen the video.
Okay. I'm gonna DM you the picture.
Right, but okay, so hold on a second. But the proof should have been that the skyline was like below the whole skyline should have been below the horizon. You understand what I'm saying? Like the whole skyline, like not just the bottom of the buildings, but the whole skyline should have been not being able to be seen.
No,
You understand?
that's not true though. I mean, if they can
What's not true?
if they can fucking see it, then it should be able to be seen. You're not. We live in a fucking sphere Earth. You're not gonna be able to see shit that you shouldn't be able to see.
Hey.
Right, but that's because you're presuming we live on a sphere Earth, right?
I'm not. No, I've done the research. I can verify it.
Well, I'm
Can you see
open.
the picture?
Did you send me something? All right,
Yeah, I showed you
P
how
Mars, all right.
the fucking. You only see the tops of the buildings. You don't. If the Earth was flat,
You didn't send. What the fuck did you just send me? That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing.
It's showing how you only see the tops of the buildings in the skyline.
Have you ever
picture.
seen the video? Have you ever seen the
Yes.
video?
Yes.
Well, all right, let's watch the video together.
I really don't want to watch that video.
Why not? Because it proves you're wrong.
Watched lots of flat Earth videos.
Oh, you're
It
just
doesn't-
bored of it.
It
Oh,
doesn't.
poor
it doesn't-
you.
It doesn't prove me wrong. It proves the video proves the Earth is a sphere. So what the flat earthers do is they look at evidence that proves the Earth is a sphere, and they just go, "Well, this evidence proves the Earth is flat." That's all they're fucking doing.
I don't think you're right. I think you're
Okay.
wrong, actually. Yeah. And I'm okay with you like talking and stuff, but I'm just curious. What chat room are you in? Is it
So are you
General
flat
chat.
Earth?
This guy's a flat earther, yeah.
What chat room are you in?
General
Oh,
chat.
look, it's
Roundtable?
where I live. I used to live.
General chat.
All right. What chat room? Yeah, I guess I could just go off into the sunset.
People have taken pictures of the curve,
Oh, send me the pictures. I've never seen one. When I was a kid, um, oh, here it's the rabbit hole, right? Okay. So yeah, when I was younger, I went in on a plane, you know, and I was like so excited to go on a plane. And I went up into the sky and was like, "Oh wow, I can't wait to see the curvature of the Earth." And I went up in the plane and I looked around and I was like,
It's flat.
"Oh yeah, oh, I guess I'm just not far enough up, you know, to see the curve because
Well,
I didn't see a curve because I was in a plane and there is no curve."
you
Well, I
can
didn't
see
know that
it.
back then. I was just a kid, I just figured, I just wasn't far enough up. I
You
just haven't seen
can
the curve.
you can see it, but it's like not. You can't really detect it with a naked eye. You'd need like a ruler or some shit.
No, there is no curve. There is no
No,
curve.
Mike, you
No,
need to
there
get one of
is.
these blue snowball mics, okay? And you need to imagine that you're a really fucking small, like, speck of sand, even smaller than a speck of sand, right? You need to imagine that you're
Why would
on
I
that
imagine
mic.
that, Cloud? Why should
Because,
I listen to you at all?
because if you imagine that, you can look around, yeah? Imagine looking around, it's flat all around you. It
Yeah,
looks
like,
flat.
imagine
It's
things that I
curving
don't
down and
that I
away
don't
from you
believe.
at the same rate, 360 degrees around your position. So it's going to look
Well,
flat.
that's part of it is that 360 view is a circular view. So
Uh-huh.
circular and globular is part in the same.
No,
And
around
right,
you.
Spherical.
the
Yeah.
sphere of your sight, right? It's your spherical sight. You only see so far in your eyes.
Okay, so if you were to if you were to just eyeball look at someone, you could probably guess their height, but you probably wouldn't be that accurate. You might be off like 3 or 4 inches, right? Because you can't just like tell exactly how tall someone is with your eyes, right?
Well, I don't think this is going to have any constructive. I mean,
So
we're
like,
talking about is totally different than what you're trying to ask me.
there's a curve on the horizon, but it's not like you can see it with your eyeballs. But if if you like measure it, you can measure the curve.
Well, you can, I guess, but
There's
you can believe what you want, and I'm actually more interested in thinking about the shape of the Earth now that I have you, P Mars, telling me that it's obviously a globe.
It
It's
is.
interesting. It's interesting.
It's blatantly a globe. The only people that believe the Earth is flat, they're like victims of propaganda, and they're part of a cult.
Wait, so you don't believe you're a victim of propaganda? You believe that NASA tells the truth?
I believe I am a victim of propaganda, but I also believe the Earth is a sphere.
So you believe NASA is telling you true things?
No, I don't believe NASA is telling me true things. Well, I mean, I
So
suppose
why would they lie?
some of the things
Why
they say
why would
are true.
NASA lie to you? Why would NASA lie to you? Do you believe that NASA does lie?
Well, NASA is an occult organization, so I would assume, since they are occultists, that they hide truths.
So they lie to you?
Not necessarily lie. It could be lies by omission. It could just be like they're not
That's still a lie. A lie by
sure.
omission is still a lie.
Sure.
So you choose to believe them and their model of the world that they show you on video. They show
Okay.
you videos of the Earth spinning, right? So you believe those videos?
But people thought the Earth was a sphere before NASA. It's not like NASA invented the sphere Earth.
No, but they produced it.
Sure, but
There was no video of
Oh,
a spinning Earth
I
before
know where
NASA.
he is.
yeah, but people thought the Earth was a sphere before NASA, so NASA is
So
not
right.
really matter. It doesn't really matter about.
Well, of course it matters. They produce the the truth that you believe in right now. You believe that the Earth is spinning on its axis in a vacuum of space, and NASA gave you a video so that you could confirm your belief in that idea. And you believe it. Do you not believe it?
Yeah, but I believe it based on evidence that has nothing to do with NASA.
What evidence?
For like spin, there's the
You saw the video. What else? You got the evidence you need. I mean, you saw the video. Have you seen
yeah.
gravity? I mean, it's obvious. I mean, like you can like float in space, and it's just easy. You just believe what you know. It's easy to believe, and everyone wants you to believe, and the whole world
Oh, I
believes.
know who that is. I know who that is. There's a woman standing right next to Jeremy Corbyn. I know who that woman is. I've met her in real life. I know who that is.
You know, because the Earth is spinning, that things weigh more or less depending on if you're traveling east or west.
Oh, it's so funny. You guys are so trapped. You just, I was there too. I'm not like
Also,
judging, but
there's the Coriolis effect.
oh yeah,
And
that's something that doesn't exist. Yeah,
the
that's funny.
Foucault pendulum experiment.
Yeah, have you ever experienced any of this thing, or just like looking up stuff on the internet to like feel smart? It's all nonsense. Once you if you actually look at yourself and if you have to tackle the larger question, which is if you want to,
If you
it's
really
really a want, right?
If you really believe this shit, why don't you pick a direction and keep going until you find the edge?
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying like you should. The Earth is flat. You're right. Just fucking go find the edge. Just pick a direction and keep going. Find the edge, man.
It's
It's
illegal to do that.
Hi, Cal.
It's
You know
illegal.
that. If you've looked
Hello.
into it, you understand it's illegal. You cannot go to Antarctica. You can go on a tourist trip to Antarctica, but you cannot take a expedition through Antarctica.
You don't have
You
to.
can't
You know
take
my
any.
target.
You
You don't-
can't take
Can't hear
any
me.
gas-powered vehicles through Antarctica because of so-called nature designations, where they want to protect the penguins or whatever. So, have you ever looked at this? There's an Antarctic treaty signed by almost every country in the world that Antarctica is designated as a nature sanctuary, and you are not allowed to go there because it's protected, meaning like a state sanctuary national park. Um, Ideology. If like okay, so PMARS, if I had like a high powered yacht, and I had a bunch of snow runners, bunch of ATVs and bullshit. I could, even if I had that, if I went to Antarctica and decided, yeah, we're gonna fucking do this. We're gonna go to the South Pole and beyond. We're gonna go through Antarctica and we're gonna find out the other side. It's illegal to do that. If I did that and I showed up on the shore of Antarctica, I'd be shot. Maybe not shot, but I'd be told that I have to go away.
Shot.
That's weird that, like,
Shot.
He was acting like because you weren't there to verify things, you couldn't think they were true. But then he's just making these fucking arbitrary claims based on absolutely nothing.
What? Hello? What are you saying?
I'm saying it's funny how your standard of evidence for me is different from your standard of evidence for yourself.
Well, I'm just trying to get you to think. I can't get you to believe things. I'm just telling you what I believe, and I think that my claims are truthful. So,
Well,
I'm not.
You just
dishonest in
claimed
my
you
claims.
just claimed you can't go to Antarctica or else you'll get arrested, but that's you also said earlier
No,
that
I said that you can go to Antarctica and you can go to certain points in Antarctica, but you can't transverse Antarctica without a permit, and you cannot get a permit to have motorized vehicles in
okay.
Antarctica.
But
Do you
earlier,
understand?
earlier you were acting like I could only know things if I could verify them myself. But you've never verified this or been to Antarctica, so how the fuck? It's like, why do you believe that?
Well, I mean, I, they told me I can't verify it. I don't have the money to go to Antarctica, so how
Right,
could
but
I verify?
you believe that you can't go based on what?
So you saying like I should just arbitrarily go to Antarctica to prove something that I believe?
No, I'm just saying that you're inconsistent in your standard of evidence when you apply it to other people, and then apply it to yourself. It's different. Like you don't need to have
Well,
evidence to
I would
support
like
your
to I would like
claims,
to
but you expect other
I would
people
I,
to have evidence.
I would like to I would like you to dispute my disclaimers about what people say about things about you. Not necessarily you, but you've just been in the same environment that I've been in. You've been told, a lot of stuff about outer space, and you've been told a lot of stuff about how the world is and how we live on a globe, just like I was. I'm just as guilty as you are. And
But
for some reason, that's the world we live in. And we've been told a lot of stuff about outer space. We've been told a lot of stuff about how things work in life, and I'm just curious about your perspectives too. I'm not, I'm just we're in a chat room, man. I'm just, I'm not like calling you out or anything. I'm just telling you my experience have been different than yours, and I've learned some things that maybe you have not learned. So there you go.
well, definitely, we're indoctrinated to believe we live on a globe, but that fact doesn't change, or that doesn't like mean that it's not true. Just because it's an indoctrination. And yes, 95% of people, if you ask them about like how do they justify their belief they live on a globe, they can't really give you a good argument or answer, and they don't know a lot of the things that you're bringing up. So you can make someone sound like question their belief in the globe really easily.
So yeah, I'm not like I'm not like judging you, but I'm
You're
saying like
fine. You're just getting high and
if
drunk.
if you understand that I actually have had the same beliefs as you did at one point, and I have looked into things that maybe you haven't. That doesn't make me a weirdo conspiracy theorist. It just means that I've looked into things that maybe you haven't seen before, and maybe you haven't discovered in your own search for your own truth. Does that make sense?
Do you feel like you need to impart your knowledge on other people?
Well, no, it's just that you came out with it. Like you were really trying to defend your worldview, and I respect that. Everyone has their worldview, and it sucks when somebody challenges your worldview because it's kind of how you built your life. You like understand the world um, based on your worldview, and it sucks when somebody comes in and they're like, "Yeah, you're wrong, and I don't really care if you think I'm right or wrong, but you are wrong." Yeah, that sucks if somebody says that to you, obviously. But I've had that done to me, so I know how it feels. Um, Listen, like I was like an honor student at a liberal high school, doing the stupidest shit. Like, oh, I wish I was an astronaut. I wish I was a like the stuff that you get taught at school is so not true that it's almost crazy that we live in a world where it's still taught. But it is still taught, and we still do live in this world. So you can still believe it if you want to believe it. But the best part about it is you don't have to believe it if you look at it for yourself. You get to look at it for yourself. Like, the idea that you're smart because you believe like you understand things, like things that they okay. So all right. So school, they tell you stuff, and it's complicated. So the school system, they tell you stuff, and it's complicated. And it's hard to understand. But if you understand it, now you're the smart guy, and you're the guy that people respect, and you understand things that the normies don't understand because you're smart. Obviously, you're smart. So that was the thing for me. I was like, oh shit, I'm the smart guy, right? Like I understand things that those people, they don't understand. But once you get to a different level and you understand things in a different way, you have to understand that the base idea. Okay, so you can be smart in an abstract sense. You can be smart in a local way, but mainly the smart in the academia is based on you being um, a mouthpiece for the agenda. Whatever is supposed to be proselytized to the unwashed masses. So you're a smart guy, and you understand stuff, like you understand about how the Earth was, it's the Earth spins around the equator and through the solar system, and we now have a global warming or cooling period that we have to accept, and we have to have scientists understand that we are in this period and that this is part of life, and that you will get grants, you will get subsidies, you will get research money for giving that perspective of the world. But that's not actually what's going on in the world. What's actually going on in the world is that you're alive, and you get to experience life, and you get to experience things that are good and bad, and you've been lied to, unfortunately. And that's the
Fuck. God.
whatever you want.
I'm here, Mike. But fuck, man, you really drag this shit on sometimes.
I accidentally closed Chrome.
To be honest, that's
Oh,
why we
fuck
call
off.
it. It's the Mike Cargo experience, because it is an experience. Sometimes affect epic proportions.
He's got a narcissistic personality disorder. He just likes to hear himself talk.
Well, thank you for the label, P. Mars, but do you think whatever I said was true at all, or do you just think you think everything's true? That's always. I mean, like that's what I was trying to get across, is that you have your ideas of things that are true, but how actually do you know what you believe is true is true? I mean, that's a philosophical question, but it has to do with perception.
I don't know if it's true.
Is this subjective or objective?
Right. Exactly. So the idea that human life is objective is false because we are all subjective.
I'm gonna go get some ice cream.
Holy shit.
Right. Right. In our character, but in our character we can observe objective life. And that's my point. It's like we live in a subjective life, but we can observe objective in our life.
Do you value?
Basically.
Do you
I don't know.
value?
It made more sense to me in a different context. I don't know if you guys appreciate it.
Do you, do you value subjective truth more than objective truth? He doesn't know how to fucking have a conversation with me because he's a retard. Like, I asked him what was his epistemology. He doesn't know what epistemology means. To be fair, I didn't like a year ago.
To be honest, you guys let me ramble too much, and I'm like thinking too much about subjective, objective, and weird shit right now. So
man,
I don't know.
It's
I don't
really
know.
hard, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I can give you like a good answer now, but I'm coming from the right place.
I don't think he
know,
knows
I'm
the
thinking too
difference.
much
He
now.
doesn't know that these
You
words
guys should have
means-
stopped me when I was spiraling.
I tried to tell you the Earth was a sphere, but you kept going.
He wouldn't stop.
You just wouldn't stop, man.
No, but P Mars, you have to look into that, man. And I know why you believe the Earth is a sphere because I was there, but you have never looked into why it might not be.
I have, though.
What evidence is there that the Earth is not a sphere? Like, what's your greatest evidence?
That the Earth is not a sphere.
Yes. Yeah, so you haven't looked into it because there's a lot of good proofs that the Earth is not a sphere.
There's
And
not.
it's going to be up to you if you want to look into it or not. I mean, I don't know you, so it's up to you if you.
Like, the best
If you want-
argument... The best argument Flat Earth has is it looks flat. Then they say
No, that's not the best
It is.
argument at all. You haven't looked
is.
into it at all. If you think that's the best flat Earth argument, you haven't looked into it at all.
What do you think the best
I mean-
argument is?
You shouldn't be able to see the Chicago skyline from Detroit, from Michigan.
Yes.
There's a mathematical equation that talks about how the spherical geometry applies itself to a spherical world like we supposedly live in, and it doesn't make sense at all. And lighthouses are number 2. Why are we able to see lighthouses from 200 miles away on a spherical Earth?
Because they're fucking high in the air.
No, that's not true. If you look at the math, that's not true. Have you looked at the math of the
Yes.
idea of a lighthouse?
I've looked at all the math checks out perfectly, 100%.
It does not check
It
out.
does, dude. Well, okay, well then why do no like mathematicians become flat earthers? Like where are these like educated math people that are like, holy fuck, you shouldn't be able to see this far. Look at this math. Like, you don't see that. You see
Well,
fucking drunks.
That's an argument of authority, like the idea that
Mike,
somebody is a mathematician.
Everyone
is
who's
gonna
telling
be
me
a
the
flat
math
earther.
wrong has been drunk and stoned. Every single fucking person who's told me the math wrong is drunk and stoned. Where are the sober people who can tell me that the math is fucking wrong?
Okay, so you understand the formula, right?
Yeah, it's 8 inches per mile squared, but do you understand that's a parabola? Do you know what a parabola is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's
so
a
it
curved
doesn't
area.
work after a certain amount of time or a certain distance. It doesn't work. It only works in short distances, that curvature formula. Plus, that fucking curve calculator that the Flat Earthers cite was put there by a sphere Earth believer so the Flat Earthers could see that the math checks out. But then they just, once again, Flat earthers take evidence that proves the earth is a sphere and just say it proves the earth is flat, and people like Mike here believe them and then go repeat that shit, and I have to fucking have this conversation with Mike because people on the internet make propaganda videos that alcoholic stoners are very susceptible to.
Yeah, Mike.
All right, I feel offended. Yeah, I feel offended.
Good. I'm trying to shame you.
I just don't think you understand. Like, okay, so do you believe that we went to the moon?
I don't. I would say no.
Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, you understand where I get my base parameters, right? Like that's part of it. That we have not been to the moon, and we have a space agency that gets $56 million a day that tells us that we went to the moon in 1965. Okay? Do you understand that?
Yeah.
All right. So what does that mean to your ideology?
It means that flat earthers think $56 million a year is a shitload of money when it's not.
No, a day. A day.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah. You understand what that means? So yeah, so you have liars that get $56 million a day to do Hollywood bullshit nonsense. You understand that? So yeah, I agree. P Mars, you can have ideas. I guess you just don't. I just wish you had. I mean, tell me I'm wrong, man. I wish I had a P Mars on my right shoulder at all days, every days of my life.
Oh, wait. Shit, that's a lot.
All right, I guess that's. All right, well, I'll smoke a cigarette, see if you're here when I'm back.
I'm here. Might go to the bar though. No, I keep fucking opening. God damn it. The moon landing is sketchy. Yeah. I haven't done much research into the moon landing, so I don't really know anything about it. This guy wasn't very knowledgeable about flat Earth,
Oh man.
but he's watched a lot of videos. This Mike guy's pretty cool.
Yeah, Mike is cool, man. I like Mike.
Yeah,
Mike Cargo is my best friend.
Zoom, I really don't
You know?
think
You know?
the Earth is flat. Like I just the arguments for the flat Earth are not very good. But I don't know.
I hope Labour wins so I can get like £1,700. Oh, we laugh. Oh.
You just buy your vote.
Huh?
They just buy your vote. Hey,
No.
Zoom Truth,
I'm
I'm gonna give you some good research.
What the? Why is there an LGB?
This is
Oh fuck! What's there? Oh, my computer's low on memory.
This is quotes from Bertrand Russell, The Impact of Science and Society, and Bertrand Russell, The Scientific Outlook. He wrote these books. They're technically fiction books. They're not meant to be literal, but they're about how a scientific dictatorship would work. And I think flat earthers would be really interested in this stuff. Like here, because Bertrand Russell was very influential. He was knighted. He was a lord, Lord Bertrand Russell. He worked with the Congress for Cultural Freedom. Congress for Cultural Freedom. And the Congress for Cultural Freedom is connected to the CIA. Historian Francis Stoner Saunders writes, whether they liked it or not, whether they knew it or not, there were few writers, poets, artists, historians, scientists, or critics in post-war Europe whose names were not in some way linked to this covert enterprise. She's talking about the CIA. So Congress of Cultural Freedom was an anti-communist advocacy group founded in 1950. At its height, the CCF was active in 35 countries. In 1966, it was revealed the United States Central Intelligence Agency was instrumental in the establishment and funding of the group. And one of the most important members of that group was Bertrand Russell. Now, what the Congress of Cultural Freedom, what they did, or what their goal was, their agenda, they created the uniform culture of the Western nations after World War II. That was their job. That's what Bertrand Russell was working to do. And he was the one who came up with these ideas of a scientific dictatorship. Listen to this shit he says. This is in the Scientific Outlook. In like manner, the scientific rulers will provide one kind of education for ordinary men and women, and another for those who are to become holders of scientific power. Ordinary men and women will be expected to be docile, industrious, punctual, thoughtless, and contented. Of these qualities, probably contentment will be considered the most important. Okay, that's important. Contentment is the most important. Look at our society. It's all contentment. It's go to sleep with. Here's your entertainment. Here's your fucking drugs. Here's your sex. It's all making us content so we don't fucking rebel. Okay, to continue reading. In order to produce it, all the researchers of psychoanalysis, behavioralism, and biochemistry will be brought into play. All the boys and girls will learn from an early age to be what is called cooperative, i.e. do exactly what everyone is doing. Initiative will be discouraged in these children, and insubordination without being punished will be scientifically trained out of them. Except for the one matter of loyalty to the world state and to their own order, members of the governing class will be encouraged to be adventurous and full of initiative. Talking about the world state there, okay. He also goes on here saying that, okay, on those rare occasions when a boy or girl has passed the age at which it is usual to determine social status, shows such marked ability as to seem the intellectual equal of the rulers, a difficult situation will arise, requiring serious consideration. If the youth is content to abandon his previous associates and throw his lot wholeheartedly with the rulers, he may, after suitable tests, be promoted. But if he shows any regrettable solidarity with his previous associates, the rulers will reluctantly conclude that there is nothing to be done with him except to send him to the lethal chamber before his ill-disciplined intelligence has had time to spread revolt. This will be a painful duty to the rulers, but I think they will not shrink from performing it. He talks about propaganda and impact of science on society. I think the subject which will be most important politically is mass psychology. The importance has been enormously increased by the growth of modern methods of propaganda. Of these, the most influential is what is called education. And what do we hear all the time? Education. We need better education. Education's the answer. Religion plays a part, though a diminishing one. The press, the cinema, and the radio play an increasing part. It may be hoped in time anybody will be able to persuade anybody of anything if he can reach the patient young and is provided by the state with money and equipment. He talks in this book about how you could basically train children to believe that snow is black. Total fucking mind control indoctrination through the education system. Although this science will be diligently studied, it will be rigidly confined to the governing class. The populace will not be allowed to know how its convictions were generated. When the technique has been perfected, every government that has been in charge of education for a generation will be able to control its subjects securely without the need of armies or policemen. So I guess that's that when they perfect their propaganda brainwashing, they won't need armies or policemen. Scientific societies are as yet in their infancy. It is to be expected that advances in physiology and psychology will give governments much more control over individual mentality than they now have even in totalitarian countries. Fichte, who is the German philosopher that helped argue to bring in the Prussian education system, Fichte laid it down that education should aim at destroying free will, so that after pupils have left school, they shall be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. Okay, this is the world. I think he's describing exactly the fucking world we live in. Anyways.
You're either trolling or you're misled.
No, I guess I'm misled.
Yes, that does support Flat Earth Zoom. That's why I gave it to you. I don't know why Flat Earthers don't take my research, but I've done lots of research into how science is fucking bullshit. We live in a scientific dictatorship. Here, I can give you more. Like Aldous Huxley. This is a great fucking... People should all know this shit. Aldous Huxley, he gave a speech at Berkeley called The Ultimate Revolution. Let's see, here's the PDF. He talked about like how basically his book Brave New World, which is sort of like 1984, Aldous Huxley, The Ultimate Revolution. So the Ultimate Revolution, what is the Ultimate Revolution? The final revolution where man can act directly on the mind body of his fellows. It's like the last revolution. They won't need revolutions because we're going to be fucking microchipped and brainwashed and drugged. But he says, this is a speech he gives. He's basically saying his book 1984 Brave New World is like actual factual, it's like what's happening. He's saying that in this speech. People think it's fiction. It's not. He didn't mean it. He meant it as fiction, but he meant it to be like a critique of society. Okay, so check this out. He says in here. I'm inclined to think that the scientific dictatorships of the future, and I think they are going to be scientific dictatorships in many parts of the world, will probably be a good deal nearer to the Brave New World pattern than to the 1984 pattern. So he's talking about how like he thinks Orwell kind of missed the mark a little bit with 1984, and that his book Brave New World is much more accurate. Although he thinks Orwell is right about a lot. Orwell is totally right about a lot of shit, but Brave New World is a better like critique of like how the scientific dictatorship will work. So you can use Aldous Huxley. He says right here he thinks that he's a fucking intellectual elite. He's a part of the intellectual elite. His father was Thomas Huxley, like one of the guys who started education. His father started the education that Bertrand Russell talked about, brainwashing fucking people. So they're part of this intellectual scientific elite, and he's totally credible within the system. We're not talking like we can quote this guy and it's not like quoting some random video on YouTube. Like this is legit shit. He says we're going to be living in scientific dictatorships in the future, and he's fucking accurate. Look at like what they're doing with climate change. They're using scientific policy, just like Eisenhower warned this too. See, man, like I don't know why flat earthers don't fucking use my research. I wish they would. Eisenhower said this. And this is something you need to think about, Zoom Truth. Okay, when you're going out there and you're doing activism, realize that the president, Dwight Eisenhower, went on television and did fucking activism. And it didn't change anything. Like the fucking president of America went on TV and warned us all. Look at, you know the farewell address? Let's see here. He warned us concerns about for the future and dangers of massive spending, especially deficit spending, the prospect of domination of science through federal funding, and conversely the domination of science-based public policy, but what he called a scientific technological elite. Eisenhower laid all this shit out for the American people on television, and no one fucking cared. So you can sit on a street corner talking to these like idiots all day. You're not going to affect any change if the fucking president can't get people to listen. People just are not going to listen. I don't know, man. If you want to go and like tell people about the truth, I don't want to stop you from doing what you think's right or whatever, but I'm just like, maybe be aware that no one's, I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever, I don't think we can, I hate to be pessimistic, but I just like, I think maybe we're brainwashed to believe that we're supposed to change the world and save the world. Maybe we're not meant to save the world. Maybe like there's just always going to be 80% of people that are just going to be ignorant. Like that's historically, there's always been a fucking massive amount of ignorant people, and then a few amount of people that like know what the fuck's going on. So I don't know. I mean, I would like to fucking change the world and shit too, but like I just think like if the president can go on TV and warn people and we ignore it, and then like everything he warned us about came true and no one gives a fuck, like no one's gonna listen to me. They're not gonna listen to Eisenhower. They're not gonna listen to me. So I don't really like try. I used to fucking be obsessed with 9/11 truth and trying to wake up my family and friends, and all it did was get me fucking exiled. And now I'm rethinking things, and I'm thinking that like being exiled out of society isn't fucking productive or helpful at all. So maybe I should have not been so hard-headed or whatever. I should have like realized the importance of relationships, and I should have worked harder to maintain relationships and not been so obsessed with telling people the truth about 9/11. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. Maybe like I'm being brainwashed to like not think there's no hope and not fight back. But like I think there's hope through just like your individual. I think the key is, I think it's all about the individual journey and like maintaining your individuality. I think that's winning. You know, you can't change other people. You can only make decisions for yourself. So like just make your life as best as possible, and that's how you fucking win, I guess. And as long as you don't become like one of these group thinking zombies that like totally shuts your brain off, I think you've won. Maintain your sanity and your individuality, and I think that's like a fucking quite an accomplishment. Just even actually knowing the shit you know, Zoom Truth, I think is an accomplishment in itself. So I've been ranting. I'm gonna read the chat a little bit. Yeah, I agree, Zoom Truth. I was indoctrinated to think I lived on a ball. And when I first came to the flat earth, because I know all this shit about, I don't like science, I don't like technology. And so I was a supporter of flat Earth because like anything that's like fuck science, I'm kind of like biased towards. So I was more like biased actually to support flat Earth, but I try to be like open minded and I listen to both sides of the argument. And I feel like the sphere Earth arguments are better. I could be wrong. I guess I really don't think I am. I'll give you like maybe you're right. Maybe the Earth is flat. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really don't think so. But I mean I agree with you about pretty much everything else. Well, you know. No one denies the leaders of the world are lying. Now do some math and proves what you think. What's up, Loken? Loken's my top donator. I think Zoom Truth, I think Zoom Truth is more right than he's wrong. So like I'm not gonna like nitpick him if he's not right about flat Earth or whatever. In my opinion, you know. And like honestly, if he's, I think flat Earth is totally harmless. Like I actually think it's good for people the more different ideas and opinions have, and I like the idea of being able to challenge science and being able to challenge experts. Just because science says the Earth is a sphere, well, fuck it. Like, I don't have to necessarily believe it. But they want to create a world that's run by experts, and so I think flat Earth is good to fight that idea, like that concept of like we have to just believe what the experts tell us. Like flat Earth does a good job of that. And I do agree with flat Earth about science science created this mythology of evolution and this massive universe to make humans feel insignificant. It's definitely to attack, to make it seem like the individual human doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything, because the universe is so fucking big and we just evolved from it. We're just animals. See, that's what science is trying to put humanity down. Because what like religion had us like we were made in the image of God, and so in the religious way of controlling us, the individual mattered. But it's easier to control a bunch of mass-minded people than a bunch of individuals. So they've used this science mythology, this new mythology, to put humans down. So it's like the human individual doesn't matter in science. It's just about the species. It's about statistics and numbers, and like we're all obsessed with like getting views, getting subs, you know, all this shit. It's we're not focused on the right things. We're focused on them. What's that quote? God, that fucking Carl Jung quote is so good. 1,000,000 zeros. This quote is so fucking good, and like it really, people in social media need to hear this. So check this out. 1,000,000 zeros joined together do not unfortunately add up to one. Ultimately, everything depends on the quality of the individual, but our fatally short-sighted age thinks only in terms of large numbers and mass organizations. Though one would think the world has seen more than enough of what a well-disciplined mob can do in the hands of a single madman. Unfortunately, this realization does not seem to have penetrated very far, and our blindness is extremely dangerous. Like, people need to hear this shit, because this idea that we need to wake up a bunch of people or get critical mass, and then as soon as a bunch of people know, then we can change the world. It's a pipe dream lie. Because you get a whole group of people group thinking like that, then one fucking Adolf Hitler comes in, takes control, and well, I guess that's a bad example because like the Holocaust was fake, but one Chairman Mao, you get Chairman, you know, whatever you get, whatever whatever popular psychopath in history. One psychopath is all it takes. That group that we put together, that truth group, one psychopath comes in, they all start following the psychopath, and he'll lead them to do fucking God knows what, you know? That's how we get in this fucking problem in the first place. We need to focus on the individual. The individual is all that matters. If you have like a fucking 1,000 people watching you, like Carl Jung says, that's 1,000 zeros. It adds up to 0. Waking up these zeros, you're just waking up zeros. They're fucking zeros. But if you have like 5 people watching you and they're like independent, individual, critical thinkers, like that 5 people, that's worth more than 1,000 zeros, dude. You see? And we're focused on numbers and shit. We shouldn't be. Like, I don't get very many viewers, but fuck, the people that watch me, one of you is probably worth like a fucking million of the people that watch Nathan Oakley or Simon Dan or any of these fucking losers. I'm fucking on a roll tonight, Jesus. Preach. You haven't woke, you are not some guru, brew. There's a bunch of, like, the society is just full of these, like, fake gurus. You don't need a guru. You're like, you gotta be, like, your own guru. You gotta just decide for yourself and go with it. And, like, don't be afraid to be wrong and shit. And, like, everyone's gonna tell you you're an idiot. Just don't listen to them. No, I hope you... I like that you do activism, Zoom Truth. I mean, I kind of wish you would stray away from, like, Flat Earth and the Holocaust is fake, though. Because people are programmed to when they hear Holocaust denier, they think, fucking, you're a Nazi. And Nazi is, like... We're supposed to be tolerant of everything except for if you're a Nazi. That's, like, the one thing it's okay to hate. So, like, you don't want people to think you're a Nazi. So, like... I mean, you do you. If you want to do this shit, but like, yeah, I just think like, you know, bringing up the Holocaust, there's that programmed response to think you're a Nazi. You know, like talking about Flat Earth, there's a programmed response to think you're a dumbass. So it's just like, I would stray away from those topics and I would stick to like, talk about Aldous Huxley or Bertrand Russell or fucking Eisenhower's farewell address. Shit like that. I don't know. But... it doesn't even matter because even if you stick to the facts, they still gonna think you're crazy. So it's really like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, I guess. But yeah, you shouldn't want to force people to think a certain way. That's what I've realized. Like, it's like you get so frustrated. You do all this research and you figure out these truths and you want to share them with people. But then it's like you're kind of becoming what you hate because you're trying to like, ultimately you're trying to force your opinions on other people, even though you're like, you really believe in yourself and you really believe your opinions are right. You know, I think we need to have some humility and be like, okay, I don't know everything, so I shouldn't fucking like try and wake other people up until I like fix them. We should fix ourselves before we start fixing other people. The federal government you want to end? The problem with ending the federal government is people have become so dependent on the government that if the government just like went away tomorrow, everyone would fucking starve to death because we're like helpless fucking... The government has turned us into helpless children. We need to... I like what the solutions... Ted Kaczynski is fucking insane and he killed people, which is wrong and I don't agree with. But if you read his manifesto, he's a pretty fucking smart guy, and his solution was that we need to become autonomous individuals, meaning we need to clothe ourselves, shelter ourselves, find food and water for ourselves. All of us. We're relying on other people to do all these things for us. And that's like, but we're naturally designed, that should be our goals in life. Like, we've evolved as humans to like seek shelter, clothe ourselves, find food, find water, procreate. Like, that's how we've evolved. But then now we're in this society where like most of those goals are met for are done by other people. So like we invent surrogate goals, like we'll start going to the gym or riding a bicycle or whatever it could be. So he's saying like, and I think that's a reason why there's a lot of depression. Honestly, like I think if we just got back to like the basics, food, shelter, clothing, water, people would be happier in that lifestyle because we've evolved to be like that, and then we wouldn't be fucking controlled because we would provide for ourselves everything we fucking need. We wouldn't have to rely on shit. That's how it should be. I think that's the correct solution. But I don't think it's a solution to just go live in the woods by yourself either, away from society. I think we need to do it as a society. Because I think like going out in the woods and living by yourself, it's like you're just going to go extinct. Like it's better to remain in the society as individuals, and we should try and influence other people by living like fucking good lives and like people will see that we're doing good and then maybe come to us and follow us. Like we got to be leaders within society, maintain our individuality, stay in society, and be leaders, but lead by example. Don't go around and fucking tell people what to do and shit. They're not gonna respond to that shit. Just like wait for them to see you. They'll be like, oh, what Zoom Truth? He's fucking doing pretty good for himself. I'll go ask advice from him, rather than like you going up to them and like, this is what you need to do, right? You need people to come to you asking for help. Put yourself in that position if you want to help people. Do I believe in God? Yeah, I believe in God. I believe there's an intelligent design to the universe. I don't think any of the religions of the world have the truth or whatever. And I think dogma is bad. You voted for Trump, Zoom Truth? Zoom, I almost voted for Ron Paul. But yeah, voting's I felt like an idiot for wanting to vote for Ron Paul. Yeah, I think that conspiracy people are used by the elite to help the elite. And that all these groups online, the leaders, are put in place by the government. I don't know, Zoom, it's just like, I think it's the group mentality. I think it's, even if it's a group of woke people, there's still a group think dynamic. And if you're in a group, then you're susceptible to being... I've seen woke people in a group. Well, woke, I don't know. You'd think they were woke. They knew all this shit about the government, 9/11. They join a group, some charismatic leader gets in there, and yeah, they can do some fucking... Because when you get in the group, man, you get the mob mentality, and you like all your morals and values just go out the window, and you're like, oh, that person in the group is doing it, well, I'll do it too. It's okay. Like, I seen it happen in real life. Like groups of my friends, they'll do dumbass shit as a group that if they were just individuals, they would never be doing that dumb, like vandalism or something. They're only gonna do that as a group with, oh yeah, this is a good idea, let's go vandalize shit. Normally as individuals, they'll be like, that's stupid, I'm gonna get in trouble or whatever. Not only am I gonna get in trouble, but it's like, why am I just vandalizing shit that's like destructive for no reason? Hey Barbara. Zoom, don't you know that the Bible was the first edition of the Bible was edited by Francis Bacon, who's like so basically the Freemasons edited the Bible. The first edition of the King James Bible was edited by Francis Bacon, and it's full of Masonic symbolism. fuck. Oh, I was just ranting for a long fucking time. Well, thanks for listening, Zoom. I was pretty much talking to you, and yeah, I think I'm gonna end the stream. I guess I don't think I have anything more to say. I think I've said everything, every opinion I have. Just I just went on a fucking rant. This drunk guy, the drunk guy left. I wish I recorded more of that drunk guy. I was arguing with him about flat earth. It's kind of funny. Alright, yeah. Peace, guys. Good night.